Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 1st of October 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so also before we start jumping into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos. Of course, our JFD Bank website and specifically our JFD research page, which you can always also check out on a daily basis, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here, guys. So yeah, feel free to visit us. But right now, let's jump into the charts, guys. So the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE 100. And I looked at this one last week, and I was talking about this barrier right here, the 7,380 zone. We managed to successfully break that to the upside, but what's interesting here now is that we are forming somewhat of a flag, of a potential flag formation here, a bullish flag, of course. And as you can see, the pole here, this candle here, this 4-hour candle, that we have a nice one that was on the Friday, and now you can see the index is kind of moving sideways. Of course, it's not open yet, but the cash index is currently around around the 7,420, 25, something like that zone. Still, for us, in order to consider higher levels, ideally we would like to see a pop above the 7,440, 41 area, approximately around there. It kind of continues to hold nicely the price below it, but if we get a pop, then yep, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could target our initial aim here near the 7,477 zone. I've talked about this one last week. But of course, at this point, I mean, given the how close this level is already, so in a way we could even target even slightly higher levels. So another good potential target could be seen around the 7,536 zone, and that's marked by the low of the 1st of August. Don't get me wrong, in between here we do have this this kind of the nice beautiful number of 7,500 as well. Could be a nice potential target initially. But for now, of course, looking at this picture, we are more bullish than bearish, but we'll get more bullish if we see a nice good pop above the 7,441 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. In case this decides to reverse a little bit here and drops lower, still will remain somewhat positive if we see the price balancing above this 7,380 zone. But if it starts failing and if we see a drop here and we see a drop below this little area right here, let me just put this one on the chart, and that's around the 7,351.50 zone. Now this is where you could start in a way looking at slightly lower levels. The only thing is that slightly lower levels up until here, up until this 7,200 zone, because this is kind of the more important area for us. I mean, this is in a way we could say that even all this territory right here could be a bit of a neutral one because it would be getting back into this previous range. But now we're going to ignore this range and we're just going to focus on these levels. If we see a drop below the 7,350 zone, then yep, we will aim for a little bit lower, but we'll have our stop loss in place, a very tight stop loss, just in case this suddenly reverses and pushes back to the upside. So for now, at this point in time, or should I say, looking at the cash index at this point in time, it is more bullish than bearish, but we need to see that pop above the 7,440 zone. Gold. Gold sold off yesterday, and I talked about gold yesterday as well. And basically, I've mentioned this one in my Trader's Tea Time. So what I was saying that if we see a further slide lower here below the 1484, because at the time of when I was talking about gold, it was kind of breaking already the 1484, but still kind of didn't have this strong slide to the downside. So what I was saying that if we get a nice close below this level, then yep, there are more chances for this one to drift further down. We could consider a possible test of the 1475 zone. We got that. We even overshot that, and then the commodity retraced a little bit. It tested the 1474 zone from underneath. It acted as a fantastic area of resistance, and now you can see that the commodity is drifting back down again. So for now, we are still aiming for the same levels, the 1456, 1453 zone. This is going to be our key important territory of support because in a way we could see something like this happening after that. So in a way, this area could provide some good, decent support, and we could maybe see this one rebounding back to the upside again. So for now, guys, be very careful with this one. Of course, it is more negative than positive. Don't get me wrong, we are going to be looking here for a possible correction at some point, but for now this is not looking good. And like I said, for now we are going to be aiming for the initially for the 1456. Slightly below that we do have the 1453 zone as well. Could be a nice good target, but around here we'll stall because we could stall, and we could see maybe a bit of correction here to the upside. So for now, keep your eyes on this one. In terms of the upside, at least in the short run, well, a push above the 1484 zone now. This is what we need in order to, let's say, consider slightly higher levels. Initially, we'll target the psychological 1500 level, but again, there are some good levels above here. But again, before we could actually start looking at this scenario, we would need to see the price traveling back above the 1484 zone. So for now, the situation here is, as I said, is more to the downside, but we'll be very careful near the 1456-53 zone. If it provides good support, we could see a bit of a correction. If that correction is halted somewhere below the 1475 zone, then we could see another round of selling here later on, maybe dropping this, pushing this one towards the 1433 zone. So for now, keep your eyes on this one. AUDJPY. So the Reserve Bank of Australia did cut its rate. Of course, the Australian dollar reacted in the negative way. So last time I looked at this one at Aussie yen, we were still hanging around in this little range here, roughly between the 72.59 on the downside and the 73.11 on the upside. Now, you can see that we did have a brief overshoot of the upper side of the range, but now the pair is traveling below it, and to be honest, below this range through the lower side of through the lower bound here. And in a way, if it does continue drifting lower, and to be honest, there is a good chance there could be further weakness, then we could potentially target the 71.81 zone. This is our going to be initial target. After that, we're going to take it from there. We're going to see what he wants to do. If he wants to travel further down, then yes, that's wonderful. We do have some good potential targets here underneath, like for example the 71.07, marked by the low near the lows of the 29th of August and near the 3rd of September, the low of the 3rd of September. But again, for now, we'll keep it short and simple. For now, yes, there is a good chance for this one to drift further down. I mean, maybe we could see a bit of a correction here inside this range or something like that, but then maybe if it struggles to push higher, then we could see another round of selling. But for now, we are more bearish than bullish, and we are kind of considering a move lower straight away. But then again, looking at the S2 right now, today's pivot points, we can see that the pair is already at its S2, so that's why a bit of a correction here, maybe back to the S1, which is around the 72.70 zone, maybe could be possible, and then we could curve it down here and push it lower. So in terms of the upside, it's pretty straightforward. We're keeping the 73.11 zone as our potential barrier here, because a break above this would also place the rate above all of its EMAs here on the 4-hour chart. So could be a good bullish sign. NZDUSD, I've talked about this one yesterday, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on the 0.6251 zone. Yesterday we didn't have that break, but we had the break this morning, and we can see that the pair continues to, well, it seems that it's willing to continue to drift lower. It does have some room to drift lower. Now, in a way, looking at today's pivot points, we can see that it's currently sitting below its S1. It could we could aim for the S2, which is around the 0.6222 zone, and then from there we could see something like this, where we could see maybe a bit of correction, maybe moving back up to the 0.6250 zone, 51 or something like that. If it holds, we could see another curve here and another round of selling, which could in a way bring the pair towards the 0.6196 zone. Could be a nice potential target. Just to remind you, and let me just jump into a daily chart in this one, just the 0.6195 and 96, sorry, has been seen as a nice area of support here back in August 2015. So this is where we are at right now. Well, should I say near that level? We're near the low. Of course, we're near the lows of 2015. We're near the lows of September 2015, so it's quite an interesting area right now. We haven't, well, it only took 4 years to get here to this point. So for now, guys, as previously in 2015, it acted as a fantastic area of support, that zone, this area. Let's see if it actually does the same trick this time again. So, but again, we cannot really talk about that yet until we see a nice rebound, because for now it's looking more negative than positive. So let's see, and you can see that it seems that it's willing to drift further down, but again, we'll consider a possible maybe hold up here near the S2. Maybe we could see a bit of correction here to the upside, and then we'll take it from there, because if it struggles to push above these 62.50 zone, then well, we could see another round of selling here. In terms of the upside, well, if it travels back above the 0.6251, I mean, we could see maybe a bit of a larger correction here towards this downside resistance line, but still we'll remain very careful and cautious here, because for us now to aim for higher levels, we need to see, we'll lower this a little bit, and we need to see a push above the 0.6327 zone marked by the high of the 26th of September. This way the pair would also be placed back above this, or I wouldn't say back, but above this downside resistance line. GBP Aussie, now this is of course blowing up to the upside. So you can see that the pair managed to reach this key area of resistance. Let me just quickly adjust this level here. So we'll just quickly mark the area. So it managed to reach this little area of resistance near the 1.8325 zone, roughly around there, guys. So as you can see now, it's correcting back down a little bit. This is the 4-hour chart, of course. After kind of finding good support near the 1.8131 zone, look at how nicely this exploded to the upside. So whoever got this move, I mean, congratulations. But for now, how we could play this one out, to be honest, it did already have a nice move higher. Now, in order for us, let's say, to get excited with higher levels, well, ideally we would like to see a push above the 1.8325 zone, but even then probably it could travel a little bit higher, but then probably will correct to the downside, given that it already had a nice strong move higher with kind of. So for now, that's why, guys, it's very tricky. We will aim for higher levels if we get a push above the 1.8325. Up until from here, it will be difficult, because it would be difficult to find a potential reversal point unless you maybe start drawing some things like this, like tentative upside lines. So where we could maybe consider this one drifting lower and maybe testing this upside line. But to be honest, this is such a tentative line, so that's why I don't focus on it too much. The first interesting potential area to watch out for, of course, is going to be this little, and that's for today only, and this little peak that we had here yesterday. So this high of yesterday near the 1.8290. So as you can see, the pair is retracing back down again. Keep your eyes on this little level right here, the 1.8290. If we get a nice hold up around here, we could see a curve here and a push back to the upside. But again, like I said, for those who are more on the cautious side, we will wait for a break above the 1.8325 zone before examining higher levels. If this drops below the 1.8290, will remain neutral because this is too risky here, and in a way it could drift lower. It could find maybe support near the pivot and then reverse back to the upside. So again, that's why, guys, have your stop loss in place here. If you are risking, then, well, like I said, have your stop loss in place here, and probably a tight one would be better. But in terms of getting more comfortable with the downside, ideally we would like to see a drop below this little level right here, the 1.8132 zone. That's basically the lowest point of today, and also this way a break below this level would place the pair below its 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, and we could aim for this little tentative upside line here, or actually wouldn't call it a tentative, but an upside line here taken from the low of the 30th of July. So we would only target this area first, and then we'll see what it wants to do with this line. If it wants to break it, then yep, lower levels are possible, but if it wants to rebound, then yep, we could maybe see this one drifting back to the upside. But at this point in time, the rate is here. We're keeping a close eye on the 1.8325. If we get a nice pop above it, then we will aim for slightly higher levels. Our target is around here near the 1.8417 zone. But to be honest, I doubt that it could reach it today. Maybe something for the remaining of this week. So keep your eyes on this one. USDCHF, very quickly on this. I've looked at this one previously, and this continues to trade nicely in this rising channel formation. So I've looked at this one like about 2 weeks ago. We were still here. This continues to trade in this rising channel. On my previous analysis, I talked about this level right here, the 0.9948 zone. So we had a nice pop above this, and our target was initially the 0.9984 zone, approximately around here. But then what I was saying that we may target the 1.0013 area, approximately around here, and that's basically the high of June 2019. The highest point of June 19th, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just zoom in here a little bit. June 18th of this year. So the June 18th high here near the 1.001314 area, that's what we're going to be targeting for now. As you can see, the pair is having a nice move higher. It is blowing up above the above this 0.9948 zone. It blew up yesterday above that level. Today it's moving above its 0.9984. And so, like I said, for now, this is the target that we're keeping in mind, around these 1.0014. Of course, in midway here, we could stall near the psychological 1 level, but maybe a nice overshoot could reach this area right here that I've just mentioned. In terms of the downside, well, again, this is a tricky one. Previously, I keep shifting my potential breakouts here to the downside, given that it continues to rise. But to be honest, it's okay. Now, what we could do here is how we could look at this. If we see a drop back below the 0.9948 zone, excuse me, then yep, we will consider a possible slide towards this lower side of the rising channel. But if this breaks, if the 0.99 zone gets a break here, then this is where it could open the path towards much lower levels. Initially we'll target the 0.9848, but then maybe we could see this one drifting further down. But again, like I said, for now, from the very short term perspective, Keep your eyes on the 0.9948 zone. If we see a drop below this, then we will reconsider the lower bound of the rising channel. But if that fails, then yep, further declines are possible. But for now, it seems to be willing to go a little bit higher. Euro dollar. Well, this one is, of course, it took a hit yesterday. It fell quite sharply. And let me just jump into a daily chart here very quickly, guys. So basically, it's now at levels last seen around May 2017. So yesterday I talked about this level here, the lowest point of May, near the 1.0908 sorry, 1.0839 zone. So I've talked about this level. It could be a possibility today, but again, like I said, we are quite oversold in the shorter time frame, to be honest. So that's why I'm not excluding a possibility maybe to see a bit of correction here to the upside. So for now, yes, it could drift a little bit lower. We do have our target here, the lowest point of May 2017 at 1.0839. But again, you can see that the pair is drifting now towards its S1, which is around the 1.0872. We could see maybe a small rebound from here, a push back to the upside, but if it struggles to get back above the 1.090405 area, then we could see something like this basically happening. So keep your eyes on this scenario, this potential scenario, where if it travels a little bit lower, finds good support near the S1, rebounds, and then struggles to push above the 1.0904, then we could see something like this happening, guys, here. For the upside, well, we'll start considering slightly higher levels if we get a push back above the 1.0924. But to be honest, to get more excited about higher levels, we would like to see a push above the 1.0964 zone. So basically, the arrow should be like this. So this is just for that extra confirmation. But still, the upside could be limited due to this downside resistance line taken from the high of June. So keep your eyes on that one, guys. But the market is quite interesting today. Let's see how this is going to play out. And yep, I hope you guys found it useful. I'll have to wrap it up here because I went a little bit over my time, but thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me later on at my traders, tea time as always, that's 13:15 GMT. For now, I hope you have a beautiful trading day, guys. Stay safe, be careful, have your stop loss in place, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.